Begin with just why should you bother listening to me? My name is Dr. Rochelle Wickster-Anderson, and I am a new business owner. Crossroads Renewal Coaching and Counseling Services. I'm just starting this business, just launched it this month. And I come from a background of clinical psychology. I was a psychologist in private practice for many years, and a counselor at Mid-State Technical College, which I recently retired from that position, and a college instructor. So I've had kind of a varied past. And actually one of my passions is speaking. So this was really exciting to have an opportunity to come and talk with you all today. And certainly about a topic that's near and dear to my heart as well. At the end of my presentation, I'd like to share with you an opportunity to receive a complimentary session with me if you're interested. If there's something that comes to mind as I'm talking today that you think would be helpful to have someone come alongside and partner with you to coach you to get what you would like to have in your life, I'll be happy to provide that for you. But the title of my presentation today is 4 Steps to Creating Balance in an Unbalanced World. And after I titled it, I thought about steps is really probably not the best word. But most people, if they see the word strategy, that sounds a little like, ugh, that sounds businessy. And I didn't want it to sound businessy, but really what I'm going to be talking about today are some strategies to help you to create more balance in your life. And I think you will walk out at least, hopefully, with one idea that you are going to implement. Because to me, presentations can be interesting. You can sit there and like, yeah, that sounds good. Yep, that resonates with me. But if you don't walk out this room and implement something, then it just was entertainment. And you know, I think we need to create change in our lives, and so that's my hope, is that I inspire you to, when you walk out the door, to take at least one small step in the direction of creating balance in your own world, in your own life. Okay, I have to put on my glasses because the light isn't real good up here, because if we have the light on, I guess the PowerPoint doesn't work. So I'm sorry if I'm looking, my daughter, I says, don't do that, it makes you look really old, and it's like, I can't help it, I can't see. So if you see me looking over my glasses, I apologize for that. I feel a little self-conscious about that. All right, well, to get started, what I'm going to do is describe for you what an unbalanced life looks like. And I'm going to tell you about Sylvia. It's a fictitious name, by the way. So if you recognize someone, if you don't, a Sylvia, and this describes her, it's not her. Okay, because I don't know any Sylvias actually. Okay, so Sylvia she's a 45-year-old mom of 3 kids. They range in ages from 7 to 15. She's working full-time as a receptionist at a clinic, and she's also an only child and has the primary responsibility of watching over her mother, who is in her late 70s. Hi, welcome. There's a handout for you if you'd like to grab. Okay. Her mother's been living on her own since her husband died 3 years ago. However, in the past several months, Sylvia is noticing that her mother is declining fast mentally. And now she's beginning to wonder if she should place her in an assisted living. Sylvia's marriage of 17 years has been mostly stable. But in recent years, the couple has felt the strain of competing demands between their jobs, the multitude of activities their 3 kids are involved in, and caring for their elderly parents. They are in survival mode, and they find themselves oftentimes very short-tempered with each other. Sylvia's noted that they have become increasingly emotionally distanced from one another over the past 6 months. Sylvia has some very close friends, but she finds very little time to spend with them because of the demands of her job, their kids, her mother, volunteering at the elementary school, and just running her household. She can't remember the last time she took some time out just for herself, and believes she's being selfish when she does. She's lucky to get a full night's rest, doing laundry and household tasks late into the evening after running her kids to their extracurricular activities. Of course, when her alarm goes off at 5:30 a.m., she hits the ground running, making breakfast and lunches for the family and doing a load of laundry. She's also frustrated with her appearance due to her poor eating habits and not having time to exercise. She feels like she's one of those hamsters on a wheel, keeps going faster and faster, thinking she'll be more productive, accomplish more, and ultimately, she hopes, will arrive at a place of peace and joy eventually. So Sylvia would love more balance in her life, but she doesn't have a clue where to begin. So I ask you, do you know Sylvia, or do you recognize pieces of your story in hers? I know personally I relate to parts of it, as well as I have friends and former clients who struggle with a similar unbalanced lifestyle. That really what it does, it creates health and mental health issues, marriage and family problems, and of course, sometimes it gets so bad, it creates mental health crises. So this isn't a small issue for many people. It's a big one, and it can create much damage in our lives. The balanced life today seems inaccessible. There are just too many activities, too many decisions, expectations, choices, commitments. Of course, we're all in a hurry. I think that one of the first words my oldest daughter learned was hurry up, because I had a dawdler. I don't know if you've ever had a child who dawdles, but it would drive me insane. It's like, come on, get moving, gotta get clothes on, pick up your toys, that kind of thing. Hurry, hurry, hurry. And that was not only describing what I was like on the outside, but oftentimes what I was feeling on the inside. I felt like my motor was going and it would ramp up, and I would sometimes just feel like a wreck because of all the internal energy that was going on. And of course, there's just a lot of demands and a lot of change in our world, and probably even on your jobs. I know that in my job, the last 2 years especially, we had major change and upheaval in our department. And it was a lot of demand to just keep up with what I needed to learn in order to do my job and to do it well. So the average conscientious American really does want to be committed. Okay, want to be committed as a spouse, they want to be responsible as parents, want to be great in the workplace, active in the community. And if you're anything like me, you feel a strong pull to say yes to people's requests, even when you really would like to say no. But we don't like to say no. And the reason we don't is because we're afraid we're going to disappoint someone by not meeting their expectations. Does this resonate with anybody? Or is it just me? Okay, so we could say, like the scale, our lives are totally out of balance, and many of us don't have a clue how to achieve balance in most areas of our lives, including our relationships, in leisure time, finances, and work. We either give too much or not enough, and then we end up overcompensating in other ways. So for example, guilty again. I can look at myself and say, but parents who don't have enough time or energy to play with their kids may end up buying them more stuff to keep them happy and then appease their own guilt. Then they're done it. We just don't have the time, but we want to make them happy. So what can I do quickly to make them happy? Give them stuff. So we live in an age of high expectations. We expect ourselves to be successful by having a good job, having a great, lovely home, well-behaved, talented kids, be a model in terms of our physiques, romantic spouses, exciting marriages, exotic vacations, sporty vehicles, and lots of toys and accessories. And of course, who do we compare ourselves and our level of success to? Those we believe have it all, right? Whether it be our next door neighbor or some idol in Hollywood, we often base our success and self-worth on how we rate as compared to that ideal or fantasized image that we hold of other people. It's as though we can never measure up to what we view as the world's standards. So I build a new home and my neighbor builds a bigger one that even looks like it could be on Pinterest. Okay? So I get a promotion, but my friend makes more money. My husband's reliable, but that's overshadowed by my coworker's husband who gives her flowers on a regular basis. Okay? My kids are good students, but my friend's kids are star athletes and they're also musically gifted, and so on and so forth. So you get the picture? We seem to be in a rat race of trying to keep up with others, if not actually get in front of and surpass them. And as a result, what happens is we have much trouble with feeling satisfied and content with what we do have. There's always the pressure to have more, do more, make more, and be more. And I know in reality we do have pressure to support our families And in many cases, a dual income is absolutely a necessity. It's not a mere lifestyle choice. But what I'm referring to here is the addiction. The addiction we all seem to have to busyness and the American dream of having it all. Around us are hurting people who are lost in the cycle of despair, and many times it's related to what I call the expectation trap. Expecting more of yourself, expecting more of others. In order to do that, we have to have more, we need to do more, we need to give more. But what do we end up having? Less. Less joy, peace, time to enjoy what we have, less contentment, less love, tenderness, less confidence, less balance. And I would propose less means loss. And what I really am getting at is loss of what truly matters to us. Because if I were to sit down with you all and talk with you about what do you hold most dear in your life, what are your values, you probably wouldn't be pointing out many of the things I just described. You would be pointing out the importance of relationships, the importance of love, and the importance of having balance and peace in your life. I mean, so these are typical things people say they value, but when you look at their calendars and you look at their checkbook, it doesn't show it. It doesn't show it. And it comes back to the expectation trap, trying to meet the expectations of others, whether they're real others or imagined others in our minds. And so this then leads to what I call soul sickness. When we don't take care of who we are on the inside, we can become very sick people. And I don't mean sick in that you're mentally unhealthy and you can't perform your life, or you can't complete a job, or can't be a successful parent, or anything like that. But what I'm saying is the person who gets left out of the equation is yourself, and taking really good care of you. And I think this is why this is a topic that's so important for us to always be reminded of. You're not going to hear anything new today. I can pretty much guarantee it. You probably heard all this stuff. But as I said, you can hear it and not do anything about it and stay stuck where you are. Or you can today say, this is the first day I am going to get out of this trap I've been in, and I am going to treat my body well, I'm going to treat my soul well, because when you are well, everybody around you is impacted by that. And when you're not well, everybody around you is impacted by that. Okay, so it's all about becoming well. So, is having more money, possessions, and prestige really going to afford us greater health, a peace of mind, relationships, and self-worth? Probably not. I mean, it's sad, but so many of us have really lost a true sense of what truly matters in this life. So I've seen this many places. I've seen it in my workplace. I've seen it in my clinical practice. I've worked with people who have been depressed and anxious, without healthy relationships, addicted to drugs, alcohol, gambling, busyness, work, you name it. And unfortunately, when you look at and talk to people and try to get underneath it, oftentimes what they will describe is a quest for more. And when we do that, not only are we trying to set ourselves up for this expectation, but we end up passing that value, that message to the next generation. And so we're training up a whole new group of young people who don't have a clue how to feel contented with something, and they believe, and I can tell you this from working with college students, oftentimes asking them, what would you love to do with your life? And one of the key responses I've heard over and over, something that will afford me a lot of stuff. They want to make a lot of money. Regardless of whether it's a good fit for who they are. If it means more money, that will mean I'm successful. That means I will be happy. And what I'm finding also, and you may be aware too, is that kids, even younger kids, are getting worn out with activities before they get out of high school, because we get them involved in so many things, because we want to afford them the best. And of course, then what's the neighbor's kid doing? And what's my sister-in-law's, her kids doing? And, so we're again, it's that comparison, that expectation we have. So enough of talking about the bad, okay? The stuff that's the downer part of this presentation. Of course, just to make a good case for why do we need to do something different. And so what I'm going to propose to you is that if you really want to be successful in life, is that you really need to learn how to master taking care of yourself. Because taking care of yourself automatically will improve how you function, and by the way, not only alleviate suffering, but bring more joy. And anyone in here would like to feel happier? One person, 2, 3. Oh, all right. Most of us would like to be happier. Sounds good to me, definitely. Okay, so now that we have an understanding, what's the solution? And here are some strategies that hopefully will help us turn the ship around to create a life of peace, joy, and well-being. Okay, so here are 2 key words. Strategies for creating more balance in your life. What is this word?
Practice.
Can you say it like you mean it?
Practice.
Practice. What does practice mean? Keep doing it. Even doing it wrong or imperfectly, but do it, right? Because it's repetition that shapes our behavior. Repetition shapes our brains. And then the other piece to creating a strategy is intentionality. So, like I said, you can walk out this door today and not be any different. You will have just heard some stuff you've heard before, but if you decide, I'm going to do this differently, I'm going to take a small step today, and I'm going to be intentional about it, your life will start to change today. It can change right this moment as you're sitting in here and saying, as I'm listening to her, I am going to do something about this. I am going to take one small step today, and then begin the process. Okay, so here's strategy number 1. It's not a step, it's a strategy. Now, you heard in the earlier part of my presentation about the lack of contentment in our world, which creates that feeling of unbalance. So how do we become contented with what we have? Well, it starts with being grateful. It starts with being grateful with where you are at this point in your life, who you are. Be grateful for who you're with, what you've accomplished, the material things that you have that make your life easier. I mean, we could go on and on and on. But if you were really to pay attention to everything you have in your home, everything you have within yourself to be able to be a productive human being, to be able to use your body to enjoy life, can you imagine if you lived in that awareness every day, how contented you might start to become? And to be grateful. And so what's really cool is that there's a lot of research that's being done and has been for 10, 15 years now, coming out of a sub-discipline of psychology called positive psychology. And really instead of just studying what's wrong with people, which is where psychology kind of began, that's the roots of my clinical psychology side of me, it's now shifting over to what makes people well, what makes people happy. And so there are tons of research out there that's actually looking at things that you might have just thought were just popular ideas to now actually support that there's validity to these things. So what I'm telling you, I'm not saying anything just because Rochelle thinks it's a good idea. I'm telling you things that I know has been supported by research now. And there was a recent Time magazine that just came out that talked about the science of happiness. And I've incorporated some of their findings into some of the suggestions I'm making. So what do we find? Grateful people are generally healthier physically and mentally, as well as happier. Who doesn't want their kids to be grateful? Doesn't that bug you when you do something for someone and they don't return a thank you? I mean, we all like people to be grateful. But more importantly, are you? Would you describe yourself as a grateful person? And I think that is one question that I think we need to just become more and more aware of. What's coming out of our mouths? Does this sound like someone who's grateful? Or does this sound like a complainer, whiner, looking at the negative? Because both those things have come, or both sides have come out of my mouth. And who do I want to be? I want to be contented. So if I'm going to be contented, I need to put more of my energy and focus on what I'm grateful for than what I'm not grateful for. So what am I encouraging you to do? Is to recognize that we all are on the ladder. If you think of the ladder of success, let's just start as Americans. Are we not a blessed nation yet? I mean, if you look at the ladder of success, I would venture to say probably everybody in this room is at least halfway or higher up on that ladder of material success compared to third world countries, right? We know that. And when we see the pictures on TV and the state that people are in that don't even have food to eat, and yet we don't look at third world countries. We compare ourselves to the lifestyles of the rich and famous, or like I said before, the neighbor next door. So what if instead what we did is we started to take stock, take inventory of your life. What do you have? What do you have? And I don't mean just physical stuff. I'm talking about what do you have in terms of internal resources that enable you to live life well, and that people look at you and think, I want to be like him, or I want to be like her. What do you got going for yourself? Be grateful for those things. I don't know if many of you remember Oprah Winfrey's show, a zillion years ago. I mean, I feel like it's dating me now. But I remember many years ago, she was recommending to her audience to keep a gratitude journal. She said, if you would just write down 5 things every day that you're grateful for, it will change your perspective on life. And so people started doing it. And so that probably was a great marketing tool for journals, because there's lots of cool journals out there, aren't there? I have probably about 100 of them myself. Not all filled, but the gratitude journal is something that I'm going to recommend. Again, happiness research is saying gratitude journals work for people to elevate their moods. Okay? So what do they know about it? So not only are people healthier and happier, but this is what I found was really interesting. People are more alert and they feel more alive when they're focusing on what they're grateful for. So the expression of gratitude is important too. So not only to feel grateful, but to express it. Do you say thank you? Are you a person who says thank you regularly? It bothers me in society that I don't hear those 2 words very often. It's, you go into the service industry and you don't hear it very much. And it's to me, it's almost like a lost art to be grateful. We look at more what we're entitled to and less of what we're grateful for having. And so, again, we want to spend more of our energies into being grateful and thanking people and giving kudos to people. When you have a coworker who does something kind of cool and there's a part of you that feels a little envious of it, maybe instead of being envious, you say, that's awesome, good for you. If we spend more of our energy giving the positives away, not only are we going to benefit and change the environment around us, but we're going to change the internal environment, which is what we're really here about, right? We want to feel better inside. And this is one of the ways to do it, because appreciating life buffers stress. I mean, it's simple stuff. It truly is. This is not rocket science, I'm telling you. This is stuff you can do. So make a decision today to appreciate your life. And I gave you a place on your handout. I am grateful. I'm going to invite you all, if you have a pencil or pen, if you don't, think of how would you complete that sentence. I am grateful for, or I am grateful that. Is anybody willing to share something they're grateful for right this moment? Yes.
My family.
I'm grateful for my family. Awesome. Somebody else? Deanna?
Faith.
Grateful for your faith. Anybody else?
Good health.
Good health. Hallelujah. Good health is never something to take for granted. And I heard your story a little bit before, so I'm so happy for you that you're coming through a huge challenge with your health over the last year. So keep strong, keep your faith going. That's awesome. Yeah, so the more we're grateful for things, the better we feel. Research now shows that people who do so routinely are up to 25% happier than those who don't. So maybe you might want to keep a notebook. That's a cute one. You might want to keep a notebook, or if you like to do the electronic thing and keep it on your iPhone. You don't have to do it every day, by the way. I mean, there's no rules here. Get away from that I've got to do this every day and stress yourself out because I got to write down 5 things in my gratitude journal before I go to bed. No, instead, what you want to do is get into a rhythm that works for you. So maybe it's every few days you just sit down, I'm really grateful for this week, what's happened. Or what if you kept one at your desk? Have you ever thought about being grateful for what's going on in your work? That's a tough one. Because I know workplace is the great place to complain. So turn that around and become a thermostat. And so what I mean by that is you can change the tone, the atmosphere of any room you're in by the light you bring into it and that gratitude. Okay, let's move on. How many of you have heard this whole thing, mindfulness? Kind of a recent buzzword if you follow any of the stuff on relaxation and creating more peace in your life. But I found a visual that really says this well. So if you look at this cartoon up here, you've got the human walking with the dog. And what's going on in the human's mind? I don't see any trees in there. Do you? Okay. And then you've got the dog. What do you see in the dog's mind? Dogs are smart, aren't they? At least I think mine are.
Should be gray and black though, you know.
Right. Well, so we think. We never know. So you can either be full of stuff in your mind or you can be mindful. And I'm going to talk about what does that mean to be mindful. How do you begin to adopt more of a, I don't want to say a dog's mind, but a more simple way of thinking about life. And so what this is really the art, and it is an art and it's a practice of being present right now. Now I bet at some point in this bit of time I've been with you that some of you have checked out. You've been somewhere else. You're either thinking about something coming up, or you're thinking about something that happened, or you're thinking it's cold in here, or something. You know what I mean? It's what happens is that we are oftentimes checked out. And so what we need to do is learn how to live in the moment we're in. And so here are some very brief strategies. I'm telling you, I could do a presentation on each one of these without any problem. And that's why I feel like I just have to throw it out at you and encourage you to start looking at some things you might want to work on yourself. So the first thing we need to do is just become aware. Become aware of the moment we're in. Because where do our minds tend to go? They tend to go to the future or they tend to go to the past. And so what I want you to do is work on becoming more aware of the moment. And so when you're concentrating on becoming more mindful of what you're doing and who or what is right in front of you, as you're thinking about it, you'll find, oh, my thoughts just went to, I've got to figure out what I'm going to make for supper tonight. It's like, oh, bring it back. I'm just going to focus on the moment I'm in, and I'm going to just stay in the moment, So it's going to be a little disturbing to you when you start to pay attention to where you are. So when you're sitting there with your spouse, your kids, or a friend, pay attention. Notice what you're thinking about. Are you thinking about what they're talking about? Or are you thinking about what you're going to say? Or are you thinking about what you're going to do? Or are you thinking about, you're miles away, right? Sometimes you can get off the phone with a conversation with someone and have no idea what you just talked about because you were going, I was like, I have no clue what they just talked about. I wasn't being mindful because I was thinking, I was on my computer. I was looking at my cell phone, right? So we allow other things to distract us from the moment. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you work on reorienting your thoughts to the moment you're in, what you're going to find is that it's work. It's like going to the gym and working out. When you start trying to build some strength in a muscle, that takes energy, that takes effort, that takes work, and it takes, what did we say before, the word that we need to remember? Practice. You have to practice being mindful in the moment you're in. Be in the moment and notice, what are you thinking about? You need to become an observer of your mind. What are the things that come into your mind? And when you notice those things, also notice what happens when I'm thinking those things. What do I feel? Because I know I go down certain mental paths and I start feeling anxious, or I start feeling worried, or I start feeling angry. So oftentimes the moment I'm in is not the moment I'm in. The moment I'm in is the one that happened or the one that's yet to happen. And so we want to bring it back And what we have found, again, more research, is that if you engage 100% in an activity, even if it's unpleasant, 100%, what they have found is that people actually were more efficient and did a better job with it. No, that's not rocket science either. But what we can, that isn't a surprise, but what was surprising is that when you spend 100% of your focus on something that you don't really like doing, laundry or something, you know, I could come up with a list of 100 things I don't like to do. But what we found is that people are happier. Who knew? You could be happier doing laundry just by focusing on it. So what are you going to focus on? Feel of my clothing, texture, the color. Oh, this is really, I'm so grateful. I have chills right now. I'm so grateful I have clothing I can wear that don't have holes in them, that I don't have to iron. You know, I mean, so these are the things that we're talking about, is becoming very mindful. Now, here's another one that's a challenge. And I had to be very intentional about doing something when I walked in the room. And it was not something I did right away. Anyone got one of these? Yeah, portable computers. Worst thing that was ever invented. Because they are just filled with distraction. And if you're someone who likes to get information about things, like me, I'm an information junkie, love to learn about stuff, so I'm always looking, what's the latest, what can I learn from this thing? It's not a bad thing. But what ends up happening is we can have, and we can all say this, how many times you've been sitting in a room with someone and you have 4 people in there, not one person's talking because they're all on their phones. I noticed it in my own family over the weekend. It's like, here we are, 4 of us sitting at a restaurant, hello? And we're all looking at our little portable computers. We weren't really, you know, so our phones have ceased to be even devices used to communicate meaningfully with people. They've just become sources of information and entertainment for us. And so take a fast. And so I'm going to invite you to take a fast of half a day. Is that too much? How about an hour? How about 15 minutes? And I'm being totally serious. Do you get uncomfortable and nervous when I start talking about this? The idea of not checking your phone for a period of time, does that not make anyone nervous in here? Good, good. You guys are already on the path, more balance, more peace. Okay? Try meditation. I'm not going to talk a lot about this. Meditation means different things to different people. Some people look at it as kind of a Buddhist, it's yoga practice. But what really meditation is all about, it's choosing what you're going to think about. Choosing what you're going to focus on. And many people incorporate this into their life of faith as well. You know, so if there's a scripture verse, the Lord is my shepherd. If that could be something you could meditate upon, and you could take each word and just say it slowly. And what does that mean? And as you're doing it, you can focus on your breath. Because I'm going to tell you right now, one of the key things, if you walk down this room and realize this one thing, this will have been worth the time that you took today, is that we were given breath the moment we came into this world. But it's the last thing we think about on any given day, is your breathing. And what we have discovered through science is that we can literally slow down our physiological response by slowing down our breathing. And so I'm going to invite you real quick right now. It's just, if you could, just close your eyes and get yourself relaxed. And I'm going to encourage you to do one simple thing. You can close your eyes. I'm going to close mine. Is that I want you to slowly breathe into a count of 4 through your nose. And then gently release your breath to the count of 8 through your mouth as if you were blowing bubbles. Not blowing them away, but just simply blowing a bubble. So let's practice that together. So I'm going to inhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you can return to your breathing, normal breathing, and do it again. Let yourself hear your breath when you breathe it out, because there's something powerful about even just hearing your breath. Okay, I'm gonna bring you back. And so what I'm gonna tell you is that when you are in a moment of stress today, if you have a moment of stress today, or even just something that's revving up a little bit, just turn your attention to your breath and do the counting. And sometimes what you can do is just count the number of breaths you have. You can count up to 10. That just brings your attention to your breath. And what people always tell me when I go through breathing exercises with them is they say, wow, I feel more alert. You know, if you feel like you're like ready for a nap in the afternoon, I know about 2 in the afternoon, a couple hours after lunch, is like, oh, get that slump. Do some deep breathing. Or practice doing breaths. Again, this is practice. What if you started taking a breath every day? Make sure you were intentional about breathing before you walked into work in the morning, or before you walked into a meeting, or before you walked into the house when you return after work when you're tired and people are going to be there demanding things of you. What if you just took a nice, slow, deep breath? Every time you go to the bathroom, okay? That's something we do multiple times a day. If you took just a moment to breathe, do this 4-8, 4-8, okay? That will bring your nervous system to a healthier place. Okay, now I'm gonna have you, we have a little exercise. I'm gonna pass around. Well, actually, could I ask you to pass these out? Everyone can take a piece of chocolate. I've got chocolate and caramel, or dark chocolate and mint. Okay, so if you do that real quickly, because
You want me to just like
yeah, that'd be great. Whatever you want to do is fine. Because what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a taste exercise. There you go. Yeah, okay, don't open it. Well, you can open it, go ahead and open it, but don't put it in your mouth yet. Okay, so go ahead and open it. And if you can't eat it, take one anyway. Don't put it in your mouth, okay? Because I know you can't. So, and I hope this isn't haunting you. Okay, do you have one? Okay, perfect. Okay. So what we could all benefit from is eating more mindfully. Because I don't know about you, but I rush through my meals all the time, and I can't remember what I ate, what it tasted like, unless it's really bad or really good. I might have a slight memory. But we rush through things. And so here's a way to live in the moment, is I'm going to have you take a piece of this candy, and I'm going to have you unwrap it if you haven't done so already. And let's just start by looking at it. Okay, look at it. What does it look like? Notice the swirly patterns if there are any on yours. What does it feel like? Okay, and now put it into your mouth. And don't chew it yet. Don't swallow it. Just put it in your mouth. And what I want you to do is be aware of how does it taste? What is the texture like? Is it smooth? And I forgot to have you smell it. But, okay, if it's getting mushy now and it's like, I'm going to choke on this if I don't chew it, go ahead, start chewing it. But I want you to notice, what does it feel like on your teeth? On your tongue? What does the taste like? And go ahead and swallow it. And pay attention as you swallow it. How does it feel as it goes down your throat? And how does it feel as it goes down into your stomach? And how are you feeling in your mouth? What does your mouth taste like right now? Do you have to use your tongue to clean your teeth? Okay, go ahead and do that. This is a very simple little exercise, but what if once a day we paid attention to what we were eating? Once. Yeah, we need a longer lunch break. We would probably eat less. Hello? Shovel it in. Okay, but if we're eating slower, more intentionally, more mindfully, we're going to probably not eat it quite as much. I'm guessing for myself, maybe not you guys. Okay, fourth strategy, I know we got to keep going here. Simplify your daily life. Simplify your daily life. It is a principle that really keeps life in balance, and you need to remind yourself every day, how can I make my life simpler? It's within our control sometimes to be able to take a very complex life and say, how can I make this a little easier on myself? So what it may mean is letting go of something good to instead make welcome something that's great, something that's better. Okay? So you may need to say no to Facebook for a period of time. Facebook's good, I'm not saying it's bad. But what if I let go of Facebook, my normal time looking at it is in the evening, if I took that 30 minutes instead and did something that would be better for me, which would be to read something that actually inspires me instead of makes me angry or tense. Okay? So let go of something good to make welcome something greater. Or maybe I'll go take a walk with my friend. Each morning I want you to ask yourself, what can I do today to make my life a little easier, a little simpler? What do I need more of? What do I need less of to be in a state of peace? And what do I need to say no to so I can say yes to what really matters to me? Because remember, every time you say yes to something, whether it's something someone's asking you or to an activity, you are automatically saying no to something else. Because all of us have been granted only 24 hours in a day. So when we say yes to one thing, it's going to automatically probably mean a no to something else or bringing the priority down on something that really matters to you. Simplify your living and workspace. We all are very cluttered people. We have so much stuff, so much, can I say crap? We need to downscale our possessions. And I came across a woman called Fly Lady. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. Have you? Isn't she awesome? FlyLady.net, she is a woman who is dedicated to helping people declutter their lives, and she sends out free emails and little tips, little strategies. One of the best ones that I got from her was set your timer for 15 minutes, pick one space and declutter it. And she always talks about hot spots on your counter. Just set your timer for 15, because this is where we get overwhelmed, is we think we've got to clean everything. And so we don't do anything. And then we get stressed because everything's so cluttered. So if you set your timer and just worked on one space, maybe it's your desk today, maybe it's your car. But just set your timer for 15, and I'm going to tell you when 15, when that timer goes off, stop. Don't keep doing it. Stop. Why? Why should you stop? What's that?
I got really stressed out, I gotta do more.
Yes, exactly. And so if you say, no, I'm only going to reserve 15 minutes, that's what you do. Ask yourself also, what do I have that I no longer need? But I love this question. Do you have stuff you don't love? Just because somebody gave it to you? And you're like, oh, I don't, bless somebody else with it. If you don't love it, get rid of it. It's okay. It's not evil. It's not wrong. It's not bad. Simplify your family life. We need to make more time for downtime. And I love this picture just because I think it's becoming so rare for families to sit and have a meal together. Notice there are no cell phones on that table. And again, I'm inviting you to encourage your kids to have a technology-free period of 1 hour a day. I know one businessman, who has a wire basket. When everyone walks in the house, they are all required, and himself included. Any iPad, iPhone, you name it, goes in that thing, and they are not allowed until 7 p.m. to retrieve that. Okay? So it's just an idea I thought was great. And another thing is we're all too busy, we're involved in too many things. But what if you said, I am only going to pick 2 things outside of my work and my family that I'm going to do outside the home, or allow my children, because that's more importantly, because I see kids running ragged in so many activities. And here's the 4th strategy. Our minds are cluttered. We need to declutter our minds. And so what I'm going to ask you, this is a really simple strategy because it comes back to the mindfulness things. Pay attention. What are you saying to yourself day in, day out? Have you ever really, if you took 5 minutes and wrote down everything you're saying to yourself, would it be very kind? Is this something you would say to your best friend or someone you really cared about? And so what I'm going to ask you to do is, because I hear this an awful lot, well, I should do this, I have to, or I would, or, well, I need to. What if instead you said, I would love to, I choose to, because I love to remind people they have choices, because so often we are so much in this trap of believing we don't have a choice, but we do. And I want you to remind yourself that you have choices, and choose. And remind yourself, I'm making a choice. I don't have to go to work. I'm choosing to go to work. Yes, I choose because I want to have food on my table, but it's still a choice. I could stay home. People do, right? We know that. Okay. Use a journal for soul care. Soul care, again, is paying attention to your inner world and write down, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What are your memories? What are your dreams? I hope everyone in here has a dream. Because we have to keep growing, right? We don't, as long as we have breath, we should have a dream for something greater, for something better, that we are growing into the best version of ourselves. And we can't do it if we don't know who we are. And then I'm going to just throw out there the life of faith, as Deanna mentioned. It's important. We found through research, it improves people's physical health. They recover quicker from surgeries. And emotionally, people are healthier. We've even found that it has a positive impact on relationships. So this is the bottom line. What are you going to do today? What are you going to do? And I'm going to invite you to write something down right now, because there's something about the act of writing it down. It's like a contract you're going to make with you. This is between you and you. Okay, if you have a pen. If you don't, I've got a pen.
Okay.
Get around to everybody. But I'm going to ask you, what are you willing to do? Are you willing to declutter your car today, or take a mindful walk? Say no to something you don't really want to do so that you can say yes to something that you know would be a lot more soul satisfying for you? Would you like to learn meditation? Are you going to have a family discussion about cutting back on all the activities you're all involved in so you can have more together time that's enjoyable? Are you willing to be intentional about carving out some me time so you can recharge your own batteries on a regular basis? Maybe you'll think about starting a gratitude journal. Will you be more mindful of the words you use to speak to yourself every day? Will you take more regular, slow breaths? Will you celebrate your wins? Will you congratulate yourself for jobs well done? Whatever you plan, and I hope that you put something down, because as I said, you will change your life if you take one small step, and after one small step, there's another small step, right? And you just keep taking those steps, but you start with one, and it doesn't have to be big, it can be a baby step. Don't put a big pressure on yourself. No expectations here. This is about taking care of yourself. You're worth it. You are absolutely, every person in here is worth it. And so what I'm going to ask you to do, as you do this, that you make that commitment to yourself, and know that if you would like some additional help in the process of learning how to take care of yourself, that's partly what I do, is I come alongside people and coach and counsel them to help them create a life they would love to live. And one of my areas that I really am very passionate about is dream building, is helping people discover the vision they have for their lives. What are their dreams? And not just be dreamers, but dream builders. And get to a place that you have not ever been, but where you would love to be. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, I do have a sign up at the back. I'm offering for everyone in attendance today, and for those who are listening on the videotape, that I will offer you a free complimentary 30-minute session by phone where we can talk about where you're at, what are some areas of discontentment, but what would you love? What are some of your longings? And we can talk about some strategies about how to get you there. So I'd love to give you that opportunity. I do have my cards and some brochures. If you're interested, feel free to grab those. If you're interested in a call from me, if you would like a complimentary strategy session, you can write your name, your phone number, and a good time for me to contact you to set that up. Feel free to do that. Otherwise, any questions? Again, I feel like I could have gone on, but it's the way it goes. Any questions, comments? Yes?
Comment, you should have had us read our things.
Oh, yes.
You would not be, don't worry what your neighbors think.
Woo! Awesome! I will remember that for next time. Yes,
Mine said be messy.
be what?
Messy.
Ooh, look at this.
Be proud of your age.
What's that?
Be proud of your
Be
age.
proud of your age?
I have a tip for the declutter that
Yeah.
I read in
Yeah.
a book, I don't remember who the
Okay.
book was. Pick it up, would you buy it at a garage sale? The answer is no, get rid of it.
Oh, I love that.
It works.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna hang on to that one. Cool. Well, thank you. Yes?
Oh, I I just finished Maya Angelou's autobiography, and she talked about how she mentored whoever you mentioned earlier, famous
Oprah.
person, Oprah, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, and she had talked about, because Maya Angelou went through a really tough life. She had been sexually assaulted as a child, and her mother had given her away and all sorts of things. But she said she didn't really come around to like having her little epiphany until her grandmother said, "What are you thankful for?" And so she actually told her, like, you can sing, you can talk, you can see, you can do a lot of things. You're not just a poor black girl who was victimized. You are great. So I think she had probably given that idea about grateful to Oprah.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's the backstory. Woo, awesome. Well, thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. And